So this resource asks what is lost when asking Gemini to tart up your writing. My argument for the resource is asking Gemini to make a draft of a paper sound more academic or more punchy or more journalistic and so on can result in a text that looks really good, as we've been noting. What is lost, though? That draft we wrote was guided by our own thoughts, intuitions, experiences, and research on a topic, which may constellate around metaphors, conceits, and images that scaffold our writing expression. Gemini knows formulas and algorithms and texts that have already been written, but doesn't know how we have individually arrived at our text. Letting Gemini network rework a draft cuts off those routes. So this resource would entail three main components. The first would be just a review of the revision stage of writing, given that students might be wanting to improve their draft at a point when they already have a draft, obviously. This would be a timely moment for reviewing what's important about revising, how we learn more about what we're trying to get across with every new draft. Writing is rewriting. So another component would be an in-class activity in which students would ask Gemini to revise a paragraph of their writing for various purposes, and then be challenged to argue that the original paragraph was better. So while thinking about this resource, I did some experimentation and asked Gemini to tart up a paragraph of my academic writing. And this was an introduction to an essay on a certain design feature in medieval manuscripts. I study medieval literature, and images. So this is the paragraph that Tim will move to, I think. Next slide. Yeah, so I won't read the whole thing, but just to sort of the beginning and end. So when we think of the most rudimentary components of a house, we see a structure that can't get across the end of my page here, that creates a clear boundary between inside and outside. Roof, walls, doors, roof, walls, door, these structural units of a house serve the basic functions of shelter, protecting inhabitants from weather and predators, granted the door is customarily shut. With the addition of windows, though, that protective function is compromised. Now snow or sleet can get in, and the warmth of a fire can escape. Yet, arguably, windows are what make a house truly habitable. And then skipping down to the end, the human eyes looking out of such windows become metaphorical windows in the notion that the eyes are the windows to the soul. Conversely, real architectural windows become eyes in the way we sometimes see houses as faces and their windows serving as eyes. Their whimsy aside, such instances of face pareidolia help us to recognize that the visual functionalities of windows make a house smart. So just for the fun of it, I put in my figure 1, and that's the next slide. So I don't know. I see a face in this house, but I don't know if everybody does. But anyway, so face pareidolia is when you see faces in things that aren't faces. So back to the in-class activity. The first way I asked Gemini to change my paragraph was to make it useful for like social media. So this, okay, well, we'll just look at what it did. So it says, focuses on the hook, a house without windows isn't a home, it's a bunker. We usually think of walls and roofs as the essentials because they provide safety, but the moment you add a window, you break that seal. You let the cold in and the heat out. So yeah, definitely punchy, but what is lost? Well, for one thing, bunker is just not in my personal vocabulary. It's not in the register of what I'm my topic. So there's that's just a few things about that change. And for sure, students would doing this exercise would probably not be working on or wanting to revise their paragraphs for social media. They'd more likely be wanting to revise them to make them sound more academic. But I think this, maybe seeing what it does for how it revises it for social media might still be a good way to start this exercise because it's so radical. But so moving then to the academic revision, speaking of radical, this is kind of a parody of academic writing, really. In its most fundamental form, I'll just read a little bit of it since the text is kind of small. In its most fundamental form, the domestic dwelling is defined by a rigid spatial dichotomy established by structural elements, specifically the roof walls and apertures that demarcate the interior from the exterior environment, and so on. So, yeah. So looking at this, maybe Tim, you could go back a few slides to my original. With the way I started, I used we, which some academics in the past, for instance, say you're not supposed to do, but I do that partly because I want my readers to see with me. In a way, seeing is one of the main points of this paragraph. So in the improved version, the more academic version that Gemini provides, that's gone. And of course, the word whimsy is not in the improved paragraph at all, and there's really nothing whimsical about the paragraph at all. So that's just looking at how it changed some of my writing. But for in getting back to the in-classroom situation, questions that could be put to students about in their comparing their improved paragraph to their original paragraph would be, how does your original paragraph sound more like you in terms of word choices and phrasing and so on? And then how is the unimproved piece more authentic in terms of your positionality, i.e. culture, gender, age, and so on, even if it is more messy?